This class deals with search engines, and it's one class among several on this topic. Search engines are very important as facilities for retrieving information, for addressing queries that we type in, and sorting out amongst all of the detail that's available on the internet, sorting out information that is relevant to our query. So search engines are very important to us, and this class will start to introduce topics that will help us to understand more fully how search engines work. So first of all, in this particular class, and I said this is part 3 out of several parts we're going to look at, but in this part we're going to start by looking at search terminology. Now, for a start, a search tool, which is any means of locating information on the internet. That's what we mean by a search tool. It's some way of helping us to locate information. So a search engine is a search tool. A query is the information that's typed in to the search engine. So a query is what we're looking for. This is the information that we're interested in. So we type it in as a query. The query syntax are the rules for constructing a valid query. Now, over time, search engines have become very sophisticated. So nowadays, we're able to type in questions as we would say them in everyday language, and the search engine will sort out what we mean and bring back relevant information. But some search engines may require the information to be typed in a very precise form. Some words are allowed, some words or symbols are not allowed, and so on. So some have a very precise syntax. The semantics of the query, well, these are the rules for defining the meaning of the query. If we type in a question such as find cars made by Ford in the 1960s, well, the semantics of the query may not be suitable. Ford would have to be recognized as the car company. The types of car. It's very vague. It's a very vague statement. So sometimes search engines want us to be precise about what we mean. Now, having said that, as I said earlier, search engines are becoming more sophisticated, and searching technology has improved immensely over the last probably 10 years. So nowadays we can type in almost free format what we want, and the search engines will make sense of it. But nonetheless, we have to be aware that some search engines may have particular rules regarding semantics or the syntax of the query, and we should be familiar that some search engines may have more precise requirements than just simply typing in a question. Now, the hit and the match. Well, a URL that the search engine returns for a specific query is called a hit, or it can be called a match, but sometimes we talk about the number of hits that the search engine brings back. And we also have a relevancy score, the value that indicates the quality of the URL being the universal resource locator. It's the address. It's the quality of the address. And these could be ranked from 1 to 100. So a relevancy score, sometimes if we type in cars made by Ford in the 1960s, we might get back something, toy cars made by somebody called Joe Ford or whoever. So it's brought back information, but it's not relevant to what we meant. What we meant was passenger cars made by the Ford company and sold in the 1960s. So bringing back information about some other Ford that's making something else, it seems like it's addressing the query, but it's just not relevant. And we have to be careful that the searches are relevant. So we have this idea also of pattern matching queries. This is also called fuzzy queries or fuzzy logic. Sometimes we can just type in what we're interested in and the search engines try to work out what's meant by the statement. It could be the statements are vague, but the search engines try to make the most of them. So search engines gets a collection of keywords from the search sentences. And web developers who develop websites enter keywords that they want the search engines to pick up on. Now, if the search engine sees a keyword in a query that someone has typed in, someone wants some information, and they happen to type in a keyword, and that keyword matches the keywords in certain sites, then the search engine will bring back those sites because there's a correspondence between the keyword in the query and the keyword that the web developer has put onto the site. So required keywords could be marked with a plus before the keyword. So when we're typing in a query, if we're very, very keen to get back sites that has that particular word, we might put a plus in front of it, in front of the word, and that means that the search engine will pay particular attention to that keyword and look for sites with that keyword. If it's a word that we definitely don't want, we could put a minus sign in front of it. So we could conduct a search, but we do not want a particular word because we're not interested in that particular situation. So we might put a minus sign in front of the keyword. And we could use what's known as Boolean queries or Boolean logic. These involve adding words like and, or not. So it consists, a Boolean query would consist of keywords, but with what's known as logical operators. And the operators could be and, or not. So X and Y will return URLs that contain both X and Y. So if we type in cars and Ford, it should bring back cars that are produced by Ford. If we have X and Y being cars and Toyota, then it should bring back URLs of Toyota and the cars that Toyota make. It could be X or Y, which will return URLs that contain either X or Y. So we could say Toyota or Ford. So it'll only bring back either Toyota or Ford. It won't bring back anything else. So we could say cars, Toyota or Ford. So now it'll only bring back sites talking about cars, passenger cars, that are produced by either Ford or Toyota, because we have this Boolean piece of logic in between, the OR statement. We could also have X and not Y, which will return URLs that contain X and do not contain Y. So it's another way we can have some queries, some keywords that we're looking for, or keyword we're looking for, but we're not looking for another keyword that sometimes may be associated. So we're deliberately excluding something else. And we can do a lot of this with symbols. So we could have and, which is the ampersand, or, which is sometimes known as a pipe. It's a vertical line. Not would be an exclamation mark, and something near would be the tilde, the little squiggly sign in the bracket. It's worth playing with these. Bring up any search engine, bring up Google and just type in searches and add in Boolean queries. Just modify the searches using these Boolean type additions and see what comes up. We could also use wildcards. A wildcard are used for retrieving variations of a word. For example, art and the star sign will search for art, artwork, artist, artistry, and so on. So we only have the first three letters, art, but we want those three letters to appear, and we want words with those three letters at the start. So we have art, artwork, artistry, and so on. So that's a wildcard. A wildcard means it just finds other letters to add on to the end to make up words. So it's an excellent way to broaden a search. Now, different wildcard characters are used by different search engines, so you have to be careful that you know the search engine you're using and what it allows. So it might be worth doing a little bit of research on the search engine itself to see what wildcards are allowed, what wildcards can be used. But the most common characters are, as I said, the star and the hash sign and a question mark and so on. So you'll find out by use and by examining particular search engines what are the rules of the search engine. Just type it into the search engine itself. What rules does the search engine use, and see what it has to say, see what it allows in terms of wildcards. The search strategies, well, you should find a search engine that meets the following conditions. It should be a user-friendly interface. The technology has moved on, and we use now a graphical user interface, a GUI, GUI. So we use GUIs or GUIs because they're easy to type into. It's a browser, it's something on the screen, and we can just type in what we want. It should be user-friendly. It should be easy to use. And it should be easy to understand the documentation associated with it. It should be convenient to access. We should be able to bring up a search engine quite quickly, as indeed we can nowadays. We have, let's say we have Chrome on our computer, or we have Firefox or Internet Explorer, although Internet Explorer has been phased out. We have some search engine, and we just click on it, and we could make the home page the search engine. So when the browser opens, the search engine is available immediately, and we can type in what we're interested in. And by and large, these are large, sophisticated databases that are capable of interrogation. So the search engine interrogates the database to try and match keywords in the database, its database of URLs, with the keywords that have been typed in the search. And we should be able to work out some sort of relevancy score. As I said earlier, it may bring back a lot of sites, but not all of them are relevant. We're only interested in the ones that genuinely help us in our search, genuinely enable us to perform the search and bring back the information efficiently. So we should have good relevancy scores. So it's important to learn the syntax of this particular search engine, the one you're using, but not several search engines. It's inefficient to know lots of them. It's wise to know one, perhaps two, and see what you can do with in terms of search and bringing up efficient searches using wildcards, using Boolean logic, and so on. So that introduced us again to various aspects related to search, and it goes with the previous sessions related to search, the previous classes related to search that are available on the course. So look over this one and experiment, as I said, using wildcards, and experiment also using Boolean logic. But that's all I'm going to deal with at the moment, so I'm going to leave it at that and say thank you for watching.